There is a state in America so densely packed with people that if the entire population of the world lived at the same density, every single human being on Earth could fit inside the continental United States. Not spread across it, inside it. Just one state's worth of crowding applied globally, and suddenly 8 billion people have room to spare within America's borders. That state is not New York. It is not California. It is a small, wedge-shaped piece of land tucked between two major cities that most people only think about when they are driving through it on the way to somewhere else. That state is New Jersey. Hi, my name is Henry, and this is States Explained. Geography. The lay of the land. New Jersey is small, like really small. It is the fourth smallest state in the country by land area, covering just under 8,000 square miles. To put that in perspective, Los Angeles County alone is about 4,000 square miles. You could fit New Jersey into Texas roughly 27 times, and yet around 9 million people live there, giving it a population density of around 1,200 people per square mile. The national average is about 93. Let that sink in for a second. The state is essentially a peninsula, though most people don't think of it that way. It is bordered by the Delaware River to the west, separating it from Pennsylvania and Delaware, the Atlantic Ocean to the east and southeast, and New York to the north and northeast, where the Hudson River forms much of the border. That geography, wedged between water on nearly every side and sandwiched between two of the most important cities in American history, is not a coincidence. It shaped everything. The state breaks down into a few distinct regions. If you want to start an argument with someone from New Jersey, just ask them where exactly the line between North and South Jersey is. Nobody agrees, and I mean nobody. I have seen families nearly torn apart over this. Not really, but almost. In the north, you have the most urbanized and densely populated part of the state, the area directly across the Hudson River from New York City. Cities like Newark, Jersey City, Hoboken, and Paterson sit here. And this region functions almost as an extension of the New York metropolitan area. Then, moving south and west, you get into the suburbs, the endless sprawl of towns and townships that form the backbone of what most people picture when they imagine New Jersey. Further south and east, you hit the shore, the Jersey Shore, which is its own entire cultural universe and the source of approximately half of all New Jersey stereotypes. And then, in the heart of the state stretching down into the south, you have something that almost nobody outside of New Jersey expects. More on that in a bit. The state also contains the Delaware Water Gap in the northwest, a dramatic river gorge cutting through the Appalachian ridges that is genuinely beautiful, and the Kittatinny Mountains, which reach elevations of nearly 1,800 feet. New Jersey has mountains. Who knew? Ancient and colonial history. Long before any of this, before the density and the turnpike and the jokes, the land that would become New Jersey was home to the Lenape people. The Lenape had lived in the region for thousands of years, building a civilization along the rivers and forests of the mid-Atlantic. They called the land Lenapehoking, and it stretched across what is today New Jersey, Delaware, eastern Pennsylvania, and parts of New York. The Lenape were not a single unified nation, but rather a collection of related groups connected by language, culture, and trade. They farmed, fished the rivers, and built communities throughout the region. European contact changed everything, and not in a good way. The Dutch were the first Europeans to establish a real presence in the area, with Henry Hudson sailing along the Jersey coast in 1609 while working for the Dutch East India Company. The Dutch established trading posts and the colony of New Netherland, which included parts of modern New Jersey. The Swedes followed, establishing New Sweden along the Delaware River in the 1630s and 40s, which is why there are still towns in southern New Jersey and Delaware with Swedish names that confuse people to this day. Britain eventually took control of the region from the Dutch in 1664, and New Jersey became a proprietary colony. It was actually split for a while into East Jersey and West Jersey, governed by different proprietors, which probably explains why New Jersey still cannot agree on where the north-south line is. Old habits. What happened to the Lenape is the familiar and devastating story of colonization. Disease wiped out massive portions of the population. Land was taken through treaties that were often coerced or fraudulent. By the mid-1700s, most Lenape had been pushed out of New Jersey entirely, relocated to Pennsylvania, then Ohio, then Indiana, then Kansas, then Oklahoma, a forced westward migration that stretched across more than a century. Today, there are Lenape descendants across the country, with communities in Oklahoma and Ontario, among others. New Jersey's role in the Revolution is one of the most underappreciated chapters in American history. More battles were fought in New Jersey than in any other state during the Revolution. Washington's famous crossing of the Delaware on Christmas night 1776, followed by the surprise attack on Hessian forces at Trenton, is one of the most famous moments of the entire war. The battles of Princeton, Monmouth, and Springfield all happened here. New Jersey was not just a backdrop to the Revolution. It was one of its central stages. The state's location between the major population centers of Philadelphia and New York made it strategically essential, and both sides knew it. The Industrial Revolution and immigration waves. If the Revolution put New Jersey on the map politically, the Industrial Revolution put it on the map economically, and in doing so, set the stage for the density that defines the state today. New Jersey had several things going for it as industrialization took hold in the early 1800s. It had rivers, which powered mills and factories. It had a coastline, which enabled trade and shipping. And most importantly, it sat directly between Philadelphia and New York City, the two largest cities in the country at the time. That geographic position meant that goods, people, and capital were constantly moving through New Jersey, and entrepreneurs were quick to take advantage. Paterson, in the northern part of the state, became one of the first planned industrial cities in America. Alexander Hamilton, yes, that Alexander Hamilton, was instrumental in its founding. In 1791, he helped establish the Society for Establishing Useful Manufactures, which chose the site at the Great Falls of the Passaic River to build a factory city. The falls dropped 77 feet, providing enormous water power. Within decades, Paterson was producing silk, locomotives, and firearms, earning the nickname Silk City. Today, the Great Falls is a National Historical Park and is genuinely impressive if you have never seen it. A 77-foot waterfall in the middle of a New Jersey city. Not what you picture when someone says New Jersey, is it? The railroads accelerated everything. By the 1830s and the 1840s, rail lines were cutting across New Jersey connecting New York and Philadelphia, and the state became less of a destination and more of a corridor. That corridor function, which some people in New Jersey will tell you with great bitterness, is how the whole world still treats their state, actually pumped enormous economic energy into the towns and cities along those rail lines. Then came the immigrants. Starting in the mid-1800s and accelerating into the early 1900s, waves of immigrants poured into the northeastern United States. Irish fleeing the famine, Germans fleeing political upheaval, and later Italians, Poles, Russians, Eastern European Jews, and many others crossed the Atlantic and arrived at places like Castle Garden and later Ellis Island. Ellis Island itself sits in New York Harbor, but the majority of its landmass actually falls within New Jersey. There is a long-standing legal dispute about this that was only partly resolved in 1998 when the Supreme Court ruled that most of the island belongs to New Jersey, to the great annoyance of New York. As someone who simply reports on geography, I will stay out of it. But New Jersey is correct. Many immigrants who came through New York settled just across the river in New Jersey, where factory work was available and rents were lower. Newark, Elizabeth, Patterson, Trenton, and Camden grew rapidly with dense working-class immigrant populations. Entire neighborhoods became ethnic enclaves, with Italian communities in Newark's North Ward, Polish communities in Trenton, Jewish communities throughout Essex and Hudson counties. These communities shaped the culture, food, and identity of New Jersey in ways that are still visible today. The reasons your grandmother makes gravy instead of sauce, if you are from New Jersey, are traceable directly to this era. You know who you are. So, by the early 20th century, you already have a small geographically constrained state with a booming industrial economy and a large immigrant population. But the density that makes New Jersey famous, or infamous depending on who you ask, really exploded after World War II. The post-war boom transformed New Jersey more dramatically than almost any other state. Returning veterans needed housing. The GI Bill made mortgages affordable. The automobile made it possible to live further from city centers. And New Jersey, sitting right next to two of the largest job markets in the country, became the answer to where exactly all those young families were going to live. The suburbs spread outward from Newark, Jersey City, and Camden in every direction. Developers bought up farmland and built tract housing at a pace that was almost incomprehensible. The New Jersey Turnpike, completed in 1951, and the Garden State Parkway, completed in 1954, became the arteries of this new suburban landscape. They did not just connect existing towns, they created the conditions for new ones. Towns that had been small agricultural communities in 1940 were dense suburban municipalities by 1960, and then they kept growing. Here is the thing that people outside New Jersey often do not appreciate. New Jersey does not have one major city pulling people in from across the country the way New York or Los Angeles or Chicago does. What it has instead is proximity to two of them. A person working in Manhattan can live in Montclair or Summit or Westfield and commute in. A person working in Philadelphia can live in Cherry Hill or Moorestown or Haddonfield and commute in. And both of those options, historically, gave you more space for your money than living in the city itself. That dynamic has been filling New Jersey with people for the better part of a century, and it shows absolutely no sign of stopping. What you end up with is a state where even the rural areas are not particularly rural. Even the places that feel like small towns are often bedroom communities, feeding workers into one metropolitan area or another. The only real exception to this, and this is the part I promised to come back to earlier, is the Pinelands, but we will get there. Economy, more than just a punchline. People who have not spent time in New Jersey often assume it is basically just a suburb, a place people live when they cannot afford New York. While the commuter economy is genuinely enormous and genuinely important, it is a massive oversimplification of what New Jersey actually is. New Jersey is the pharmaceutical capital of the United States and arguably the world. Johnson & Johnson is headquartered in New Brunswick. Merck is headquartered in Rahway. Becton Dickinson is headquartered in Franklin Lakes. Novo Nordisk, Bayer, Roche, Sandoz, and dozens of other major pharmaceutical companies either have their headquarters or major research facilities in the state. New Jersey produces more pharmaceutical products than any other state, and the concentration of research universities, proximity to both New York and Philadelphia financial sectors, and the state's long history of industrial chemistry have made it the undisputed center of the American pharmaceutical industry. Next time someone makes a New Jersey joke, you can mention that the state is probably responsible for medication they or someone they love takes every single day. Beyond pharma, New Jersey has one of the busiest port complexes in the entire country. The Port of New York in New Jersey is the largest on the East Coast and the third largest in the nation. When you picture goods flowing into the northeastern United States, The ships coming into Newark Bay are central to that picture. Container ships, tankers, and cargo vessels move billions of dollars of trade through the port every year. And then there is agriculture, which I know sounds absurd for a state this dense, but New Jersey earned the nickname the Garden State for a reason. Southern New Jersey in particular has some remarkably productive farmland. Blueberries, cranberries, tomatoes, peaches, asparagus, and sweet corn are all produced in significant quantities. New Jersey ranks among the top states nationally in blueberry and cranberry production. The nickname is not ironic. Most people simply never get to the part of the state where it applies. Culture and identity. The North-South divide. New Jersey has an identity problem that is unique in American geography. It is the only state in the country that is essentially divided between the cultural orbits of two different major cities. The northern half of the state watches New York television stations, roots for New York sports teams mostly, and orients itself toward Manhattan. The southern half watches Philadelphia television stations, has Eagles fans, and orients itself toward Philly. The middle of the state, sometimes called Central Jersey, despite the furious insistence of many New Jerseyans that Central Jersey does not exist, is caught in between. This divide produces some genuinely strange cultural fault lines. The most famous of these is the question of what you call a particular cured pork product served on a breakfast sandwich. In North Jersey, it is called Taylor ham. In South Jersey, it is called pork roll. Both names refer to the same product made by the Taylor Provisions Company. There is no correct answer. There is only the answer your parents gave you, which you will defend until your last breath. Then, there is the shore. The Jersey Shore is its own universe within New Jersey, a string of barrier island communities stretching along the Atlantic coast that serves as the summer destination for a huge swath of the northeastern population. Asbury Park, Seaside Heights, Long Beach Island, Cape May. Each has its own character, its own crowd, its own sense of itself. Cape May in the far south is one of the best preserved Victorian resort towns in the country, all gingerbread architecture and bed and breakfasts. Seaside Heights, thanks to a certain reality television program that aired in the early 2000s, is somewhat more well known for other things. The shore communities were badly damaged by Hurricane Sandy in 2012, and the recovery and rebuilding process took years and cost billions of dollars. Many towns are still dealing with the long-term consequences of that storm. No conversation about New Jersey culture is complete without Bruce Springsteen, who was born in Long Branch and grew up in Freehold, and whose music is essentially a sustained meditation on the working-class, industrial landscape of the state. Born to Run, Thunder Road, Atlantic City. These are not just songs. They are geography lessons. If you want to understand what New Jersey felt like in the 1970s and 1980s, as the industrial economy collapsed and the suburbs spread and the shore beckoned, you could spend a semester reading history, or you could just listen to Nebraska and Darkness on the Edge of Town back to back. I am just saying. The Pinelands, America's forgotten wilderness. Here is the part that always surprises people. In the middle of the most densely populated state in America, there is a wilderness, not a park. Not a nature reserve in the suburban sense, where you walk a trail for 45 minutes and then drive home. An actual wilderness, 1,100,000 acres of pine forest, wetlands, and cedar streams, stretching across 7 counties in southern New Jersey. It is called the Pinelands, or sometimes the Pine Barrens, and it is one of the most ecologically unique places in the eastern United States. The Pinelands were designated the country's first national reserve in 1978 and were recognized as an International Biosphere Reserve by UNESCO the following year. They sit atop the Kirkwood-Cohansey Aquifer, one of the largest and purest freshwater aquifers in the world, holding an estimated 17 trillion gallons of water. The soil is nutrient-poor and acidic, which historically made it unattractive for large-scale agriculture and actually protected it from development. While the rest of New Jersey was filling up with people, the Pine Barrens stayed empty. There are towns in there that look like they haven't changed much since 1920. Some of the roads are sand. If you told someone you were spending the weekend in the Pine Barrens, they would think you were describing a horror movie. Actually, there is a long folklore tradition associated with the Pinelands, including the Jersey Devil, a legendary creature said to inhabit the forest since the 1700s. I'm not saying the Jersey Devil is real. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying the Pine Barrens at 2 in the morning in November is a very particular experience. The Pinelands are also home to rare orchards, carnivorous plants, the endangered Pine Barrens tree frog, and over 30 threatened or endangered plant species. The ecological contradiction of this place existing in the geographic center of the Boston to Washington corridor is remarkable. It exists because of a combination of poor soil, strong environmental protection laws, and what you might call geographic luck. Long may it continue. Politics and corruption. New Jersey is a purple state that leans blue at the statewide level. It has voted for the Democratic presidential candidate in every election since 1992. Its governor's races and Senate races are competitive, and the state has produced significant political figures on both sides of the aisle. But the thing New Jersey is perhaps most politically famous for is not its elected officials. It is its corruption. New Jersey has a corruption problem that is so long-standing and so thoroughly documented that it has essentially become part of the state's brand. Federal corruption convictions in the state are legendarily common. In 2009 alone, federal authorities arrested 44 people in a single day in a massive sweep that included mayors, council members, state assemblymen, and in one particularly memorable detail, rabbis who were trading in black market kidney organs. That last part is genuinely true. I did not make that up. The state has had governors, senators, mayors of major cities, and county political bosses all convicted of federal crimes. The reasons for this are genuinely complicated and relate to the fragmented nature of New Jersey's local government, where the state has over 500 separate municipalities, each with their own officials, contracts, and opportunities for graft. When you have that many separate governments in that small a space, the opportunities for corruption multiply accordingly. New Jersey has not solved this problem, but at least it has leaned into it with a certain resigned self-awareness that is honestly kind of admirable. Challenges, traffic, taxes, and why people leave. For all of its advantages, New Jersey has real problems. Start with property taxes. New Jersey has the highest in the country, averaging around $9,000 a year per household. This is largely because each of the state's 500-plus municipalities runs its own school system, its own police force, its own everything. All that duplicated government is expensive, and homeowners pay the bill. Politicians have been promising to fix this for roughly 50 years. They have not fixed it. The traffic is exactly as bad as you would expect from the most densely populated state in the country. The interchange of the Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway near Woodbridge is among the most congested spots in the entire nation. Commuting in New Jersey is its own particular kind of suffering, and people are leaving because of it. New Jersey has been losing more residents to other states than it gains for years now, most heading to Florida, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, chasing lower taxes and lower costs of living. The population holds steady only because international immigration continues to bring new residents from South Asia, Latin America, and East Asia, making New Jersey one of the most ethnically diverse states in the country. But the domestic outmigration is a real and growing problem. None of this changes what New Jersey actually is, though. It fought some of the most important battles of the Revolution. It industrialized a nation. It hides a million-acre wilderness in its center and moves more cargo than any port on the East Coast. It gave the world the light bulb, the transistor, the polio vaccine, and Bruce Springsteen. New Jersey is not a place you pass through. It just plays one on television. I'm Henry. This has been States Explained. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.